All right, everyone. Let's face it, sometimes it seems like every time you turn around in the business world, there's another guru promising you the moon, right? And their big solution usually involves you opening your wallet for their course, am I right?
How about right?
But today we're diving into something, well, a little different. A system that's so out there, so counterintuitive that it just might work. We're checking out a YouTube video with a very eye-catching title. It's called FI 100 Meets Week Coaching Program.
Wow, that's a lot of meetings.
It is 100 meetings a week. And the guy who claims this is his secret sauce is Charles Cormier from the CEO Wisdom podcast. Now, I know a lot of you listening are looking to scale your businesses, and this is what he claims is how he does it.
Yeah, I've heard of Cormier. He's intense, definitely marches to the beat of his own drum. But he's also built a pretty impressive track record, so there must be something to his methods.
Right. He's not just some random guy on the internet. He's a real CEO, and he's built a whole ecosystem around this high-volume approach.
One of the things that really struck me about his approach is his stance on cold email. He's adamant that it's not dead. In fact, he argues it's one of the most powerful tools for reaching decision makers.
Which, when you think about it, kind of makes sense. I mean, honestly, how often do you pick up the phone these days when you don't recognize the number?
Exactly. Especially if you're a busy executive, you're bombarded with calls and messages. Unsolicited calls just feel intrusive.
Totally.
Email, though. Email gives people the space to engage on their own terms when it's convenient.
And Cormier is not all talk. He actually backs this up with some pretty incredible stats. In the video, he shows his Apollo.io dashboard, and his cold email open rates hover around 75% with an 8% reply rate.
Wow, those are impressive numbers.
Right.
But it's important to point out that Cormier's success isn't about some secret email hack or anything.
Yeah, it's not like he's discovered some magic formula.
Exactly. His results are because he understands his target audience incredibly well. CEOs who, on average, earn $426,000 a year. He tailors his messaging to their specific pain points, their aspirations. Everything he does is hyper-personalized.
So it's not just about sending out a generic email blast. It's about crafting messages that really resonate on an individual level.
Exactly. And that attention to detail, that personalization, extends to every aspect of his outreach, from the way he builds his lists to the offers he makes. He's providing real value at every touch point.
Okay, so say you nail that cold email, and you've got a CEO's attention.
That's where the real work begins.
Exactly. You can't just leave them hanging, right?
Right. Most people focus so much on just getting that initial meeting. But Cormier, he's thinking bigger picture.
He's got a whole system for this, right? He calls it an anti-fragile business funnel.
Yeah, it's all about nurturing those leads, turning them into actual long-term connections.
Which is where this whole multi-pronged funnel thing comes in, I guess.
It's really smart when you think about it, because it's not just about one email, it's about building a whole ecosystem.
So, how does that work? He mentioned his podcast, his mastermind group.
It's all connected. So take the podcast, for example, the CEO Wisdom podcast.
Yeah.
He's interviewing people all the time, top performers, CEOs, athletes, all sorts of interesting people.
Right, it's not just him talking about himself the whole time.
Exactly. And these aren't just surface level conversations either. He's diving deep into their stories, getting into the nitty gritty of their successes and their failures.
So there's actual valuable content there for the listeners.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a masterclass in how to build a successful business. And he had a billionaire venture capitalist on there. I mean, talk about access.
Right. That's huge. I bet that's a big draw for his audience, getting insights like that.
Oh, for sure. But here's the thing. He doesn't just stop there.
He doesn't just hit publish and call it a day.
Nope. All that content from the podcast, he's repurposing it everywhere, YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it.
Smart.
It's like having a content machine working for him 24/7.
I like it. And then on top of that, you've got the mastermind group, the whole level96.com thing.
Exactly. That's for the people who are ready to really take things to the next level.
So it's even more exclusive, even more high level than the podcast.
Exactly. It's a community of high-achieving CEOs, all supporting each other, sharing their challenges and successes, learning from each other.
There's that community aspect again.
It's so important, especially at that level, to have people you can connect with who really understand what you're going through.
For sure. And then you've got his newsletter, his LinkedIn, all of that.
He's everywhere, in a good way.
Right. It's not spammy. It's providing value every time.
Exactly. He's building those relationships, establishing himself as the go-to expert in his space.
And because he's got that whole system in place, he doesn't have to start from scratch every time.
Exactly. It's all about playing the long game.
Building something sustainable.
Exactly. And here's the other thing about Cormier that I really admire. He's not afraid to invest in what he calls moonshots.
Moonshots, what are those?
Things like brain-computer interface technology, AI development, stuff that's really out there on the cutting edge.
Wow, so he's not just talking the talk, he's putting his money where his mouth is.
Exactly. He's not afraid to take risks and experiment and try new things.
I respect that.
He's constantly learning and iterating and pushing himself to grow, which is something we can all learn from.
It's pretty inspiring stuff, you know?
Uh-huh.
Seeing someone so gung-ho about what they do.
It-
But for us mere mortals, 100 meetings a week. I don't know about you, but that just sounds exhausting.
Yeah, it's not exactly a recipe for work-life balance.
Right. But even if we're not all shooting for Cormier-level intensity, I feel like there are some really valuable takeaways here.
Oh, absolutely. His whole system, it's actually built on principles that anyone can apply.
Okay, so break it down for us. What are the key things we should be taking away from all of this?
Well, he talks a lot about finding your niche.
Right. You can't be everything to everyone.
Exactly. Figure out who your ideal client is and focus all your energy on reaching them.
Don't try to boil the ocean, as they say.
Exactly. It's about quality over quantity when it comes to your audience.
Makes sense. So you've got your niche. What's next?
Then it's all about crafting a really compelling offer.
What problem are you solving for those people, right?
Exactly. And how are you solving it better than anyone else? You got to experiment too.
Experiment.
Yeah, try different pricing models, different ways of packaging your offer, see what sticks.
Don't be afraid to iterate.
Exactly. And don't get bogged down in trying to make it perfect.
He's all about speed, right?
Yes. Get it out there, get feedback, and then adjust as you go.
Makes sense. Okay, so niche down, craft your offer. What else?
Systems. Cormier is a huge believer in systematizing everything.
So you're not reinventing the wheel every time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Use tools, automate what you can, outsource if you need to.
Free up your time and your mental energy.
Exactly. That way you can focus on the things that really move the needle, like building relationships.
So it's not just about sending a million emails, it's about making those emails count.
Exactly. And then it's about nurturing those relationships over time, building a community.
That whole anti-fragile thing.
Exactly. You're creating something that built to last, something that can weather any storm.
I like it. It's a very long-term mindset.
It is, and it's something we could all benefit from, I think.
Absolutely. And you know, one last thing that really resonated with me was when Cormier said, making a million is not exciting.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. Like, what does success really mean? Is it just about the money, or is it about something more?
Right. Is it about the impact you're making, the legacy you're building, the people you're helping along the way?
That's a great point. So to everyone listening, we'd love to hear from you. What does true scale and impact look like to you?
Yeah. What's your definition of success, and what are you doing today to make that happen?
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. It's been awesome exploring these ideas with you.
And remember, don't be afraid to challenge the status quo, to think differently, and to create your own version of success.
Until next time, keep pushing those boundaries.